Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Slicey Boy Saturday here on the Hot Picture Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, the Hot Patriot. And for today's episode, we were going to talk about three different knives, specifically three different knife companies, as well as three different knives that they obviously all make. We got IOKO D2 folder. We have a Sitivien ST19 and 154 cm, and then we have a Flissa in 14C28N. The second and third are both fixed blades. The first one in the list is a holder. However, that being said, we'll do a little bit out of order just because I want to go from highest to lowest in this whole thing, and it's just easier to do it that way is what it is. So starting out, we have that Sitivien. I think it's how I pronounce it. I forget how I pronounce the actual name of this company, but basically it's 154 cm. This was on sale about a month or so ago for around $35, I believe is what it was, or it was 40, something like that. It was not the 70 it costs right now though, and I would never pay $70 for this knife, by the way. Nor would I pay $70 for any knife, for that matter, or anything higher than that for that matter. I will say I'm slightly disappointed with this knife right now. Just out of the box, I've cut one thing with it, and it basically does not seem to hold its edge properly, or maybe it's just not done to begin with is what it is there. It's a nice knife though, and that's the sad part. Like, it looks good. You know, it's a nice Tonto blade. You got the 154 cm there is what it is. It's got some nice jimping on it right here, and then for some reason it's got jimping underneath as well. Nice little lanyard loop for, obviously, paracord. Has a nice feel to the hand, mostly because those grooves for the first two fingers. And then you can also do a little bit more like that. That actually feels better when you got your finger in that little choil there is what it is. But yeah, overall, it's not really that great on out of the box. We'll do two cuts with this thing. We'll obviously do a paper cut, and then we'll do we'll cut through a piece of airheads thing, which is what I tried to cut with this earlier as it was, and it didn't really work out super great, so I'm just going to go ahead and tear that piece off. We'll just use the other chunk is what it is. So yeah, I don't know if they just didn't sharpen this properly at the factory, or if it's just whatever, because I know I got a different one of these before this that was around the same price point, and that had no edge to it at all for some reason. So I don't know what the hell this company is doing if they're just fucking off. They're not even bothering to sharpen these out of the, like, right off the manufacturing line, or what it is, dude. Like, it's just crazy. So this seems to have somewhat of an edge to it, but not, like, it definitely has a pokey point for sure. It looks like it has somewhat of an edge to it right now. It's just not probably as sharp as it should be as what it is. So, but I will do a slice with this just to see if it does slice through the paper is what it is here. Yeah, see, that should be much more of an edge on that then. Yeah, that is not really retaining an edge at all is what it is. Yeah, you can tell things like sharpened. That's ridiculous, dude. Like, that should not be anything like that at $70 fucking. Even at $35 to $40, it should not be that shittily done. Try it through the cardboard though and see if it's a better cut through the cardboard or not. Okay, but that took some power to put through it. That should have been easily able to go right through that. So that did produce a nice edge to the cardboard then. So it could just be the paper was maybe too thin. Yeah, it's got a decent edge on it then if that be the case through cardboard, but I don't know. It just seems like its edge should be maybe just even a little bit better than that is what it is then. So, but yeah, I definitely would not pay full price for this ever is what it is, just because of that reasoning. Plus, for some reason, it seems like the blade wants to keep like having like fingerprint marks on it and stuff like that, which is not cool. But like I said, not bad out of the box, just not the greatest. The G10 handle on this I really do like quite a bit. I like that coloration specifically is what it is. That's the reason why I bought this one. and then just has your basic, you know, push down and yeah, the freaking belt thing is not wanting to actuate properly for some reason. What the hell, man? There it goes. Yeah, you got your little belt loop there is what it is, where you threw your belt through there and then just lock it into place is what it is then. So not too bad. Next up, mind you, I'm just going to point something out with this whole thing. I did not pay full price for anything that we're showing today. I paid, I think it was around 35 for, it was either 35 or 40 for this ST19. And then I believe the IOKO I paid like 17 for when it was on sale, like a month or so ago. And then this Flissa I got a couple weeks ago, I believe I paid about that same price for it. It was around 20-ish or so on sale. And the reason I bring that up is because this particular blade is now, I think, like 34 or 33, one of the two. I believe it's 34, maybe. Let me just check the listing on this real quick. Yeah, this would have been, yeah, it's 35 right now, and I paid about 17, I think, or 18 maybe when it was on sale the other day. So the only thing I do not like about this particular one is the way that they have this sheath here. And it's just because it's like just a really thin piece of polymer they put on there is what it is. And like molded it into the rest of the thing or whatever, or it should have more like one of these other kind of clips is what it is there. That being said, it's an interesting piece right there for the cutout, because that's cut rope is what it is, which is obviously the knife itself being in the sheath. What's interesting with this one, that has a thumb ramp on it. And then overall, the knife is not bad. This kind of reminds me of like a pirate knife from back in the day. But yeah, this is what has the FL2510. That's what it says right there. And then it was 14C28N. So interesting little swoop on this for sure. But yeah, I could definitely, this does remind me very much of like an old school, like the design of it reminds me of like a pirate knife, or like something from like the, anywhere from like 15th to 18th centuries, give or take. So, then you got a little bit of baby jimping right there on the thing. For some reason, you got a little bit of baby jimping right here on the under part of the blade too, which I don't really understand. I do like the way they have these cutouts on here, because it does fold into my hand almost perfectly is what it is, and has just enough extra space there with my big old meat claw. So testing this versus the paper. See how this does. Yeah, see, that's more like, yeah, see, that's how it should. That's how that 154 cm should have cut through. So, position that over here for a minute. And then we'll grab a different piece of material, see if this cut through this or not. Yeah, see, that cuts through pretty good, actually. I do think that 154 cm is definitely, it's just not as good out of the box, I think is what it is. I think it's not as sharp out of the box as it should be, because this 14C28N is cutting like crazy good. So, and it like half the, that's the crazy part too, half the price, and you're getting like a much better quality cut, it seems like. I believe these are micarta handles on here, I want to say, because it definitely doesn't feel like G10, it feels like something else. But like I said, definitely feels very good in the hand, especially comparing to the other one. I could also see just using this as like a kitchen knife, if that'd be the case. Or like a steak knife even for that matter. Like doing like bushcraft stuff or whatever, and then just using this as like a prep knife or something. So, but yeah, like I said, that Sitivien ST19 was $70 on sale for I think $35 at the time. This Flissa, and that 154 cm. The length on that, the blade length is almost 6 inches. The overall length is 11.4 inches. And then as for this Flissa here, it is 4.7 inch. Oh, it's considered a kukri design on this is what it is. Okay. Yeah, it's a drop point kukri blade, what it says here. They're both the same kind of hardness, though, is what I thought was interesting. There's both that 59 to 61 hardness is what it is. So, but yeah, it's supposed to be a 4.7 inch full tang, which obviously on most of these you can see seems to be full tang, whereas some of the ones that are like a little bit covered over there, they have like a rat tang on them. Supposedly is what it is there. If you actually unscrew the handles, it'll be like a smaller piece in there. Whereas this does seem like it seems like a full blade on here is what it is, or a full piece of metal that they're shipping into the blade, what it is then. So overall, very much a nice blade, especially when you can get it under $25. So, and then finally the last knife for the day is one at the time I paid about $18 for, and is now $33. Actually, I'm gonna pay like $16 for this. Now I think about it, which is the IOKO folding knife. Interesting box for sure. On this has a little tab right there to pull it out, and then you basically just have your cleaning cloth, your little user's manual they put in here, and then the actual knife inside of the package thing. Here's what it is. So, reposition all that out of the way. If this is under 20, I think it's worth it. However, at the 30-something price point it is right now, it is totally not worth that price. Interesting design on it, though, because you got your thumb stud deployment, but you also have your button lock deployment. The only thing I do not like about this particular knife is the same issue I've had with other knives in the past that are button lock designs, and it's that when you look at it from this perspective, the button is barely visible. It is very hard to push in, and it is very hard to deploy because of that. Versus when it is out, it is like full button. However, there are other ones on the market that have the same button design, and it's a much more pronounced, like, indent up, basically, where it's much easier to deploy. That being said, I think this is like a reverse Tonto kind of blade to it. I was surprised that, because they say this is D2, but there's no D2 markings on it at all, which is very bothersome. And that's the one thing I don't understand about some of these companies, like, especially if you're going to put a knife at a price point that is like over $20, why wouldn't you have something where, like, down here or across the blade here or something there, or even on the handle for that matter, like I would say D2 someplace on it, dude, because it just seems weird to have it be sold as a D2 knife when you're not putting that on it, though. That being said, I do, as you can see now, that the blade itself is actually deployed there. You can tell that there is like an indent out on the button lock, which is how it should be to begin with. It should be that way when you are opening or closing. So overall, definitely very smooth action for sure. Especially, like I said, you can get it for that under $20-something on sale, like I did about a month and a half ago. Unfortunately, it's now $33 when it's not on sale, which that's what I don't understand about any of these companies. Like, this is not a $33 knife, dude. This is maybe 25 max, if even that. And it's like the same thing with these other companies, like what do they call it? It's Biagin, I think that's what it is. That does those VG10 knives, and they're like $40, and they're not on sale. But when they're on sale, they're like 15 to 20, and I'm just like, dude, that's a $15 that's a $15 to $20 knife all the time. Is what it is. It's not a fucking $40 knife. It's just retarded. So anyway, find a piece of paper here I can cut through on this one. Just do a little slice test here on this. See how good it's not bad. Let's try this with the cardboard and see if the DT cuts through the cardboard or not. Just do a little baby cut here. Actually, that's pretty good, honestly. Quite good. Yeah, that's on par with that 14C28N for sure, man. Slice-wise. And like I said, that's the crazy part, though, because you think about it right now, like this knife and the Flissa knife are both under $40. This is $33. The Flissa was $35, I believe what it is. Comparing to the Sitivien ST19, this thing is $70 and isn't even as good out of the box as the other two are, man, at half the price. So it's just craziness. I also wish F&Glow would have better deals on their shit too, for that matter, because there's a lot of knives they have right now that are like 60 to 70 bucks that I would totally pick up any day of the week if they were like half that price. So if they were like 30 to 35, I would definitely be putting like half of them in my cart right now. Is what it is. Yeah, let's go ahead and do another cut test with this bad boy, because it might just be that the blade down here might be a little dull. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Push at the top there. Yeah, see, that's a better cut right there. Yeah, it seems to have a better cutting edge. There's a bit of a cutting edge right there. I'm trying to do this without, ooh, yeah, it's better cutting edge there. So I'm trying to do that cutting myself is what it is. Because I need to go to the friggin' ER is what it is. Messing around with these knives. So, I mean, thankfully I have a kit right across the thing there is what it is, but even still. Yeah, I still seem to do a better job. Yeah, I seem to do a better job through the cardboard than I did through the paper then. So this might actually match up. That's the thing. You can tell the weight on this is definitely heavy though, by comparison. Yeah, I'll get that later. Yeah, you can definitely tell this thing is heavy for sure. Like there's definitely some heft to it. Like I would say this is at least a couple pounds anyway, comparing to the Flissa, which is probably about half the weight, give or take. Yeah, by comparison, this is at least like half the weight anyway. Not a little bit, less than that even. Yeah, this weighs almost nothing. It's like several ounces. So that Sitivien is definitely just heavy. But it is what it is. It's an interesting set of knives for sure. So yeah, that's about it for today. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day on that one. I got some other stuff I got to do. So trying to figure out where that shit fell. Here's what it is now. I don't know, it fell on the floor where it was. So that bag I can put the rest of this crap into then. That I just slice apart. the other shit just fell over the videos. So, but yeah, like I said, it's not too bad by comparison. It's just a little bit, like I said, I think honestly any of these blades are, if you're buying them at retail price, you're an idiot basically. I'll just say it like that, dude, because none of these knives are worth 70, 100, 300, 500, whatever it is there, dollars. Anybody that says that they are is selling a bill of goods and probably smoking a big old crack pipe at the same time. So, but yeah, you can easily get away with something that's like 35 that goes on sale for like 20 or 25. So I'm gonna do another cut with this just to see how. Yeah, see, that's a pretty clean cut on that. I could definitely see using this in the field for sure to do stuff, do some rope cuts and whatnot. It'd be interesting to do a comparison between something like this and something like that big old chopper that I have that was I think it was GKII, if I'm not mistaken, in the DC53 configuration, because that thing was hella good by comparison. Like, I know that thing can chop down like trees and shit, dude, because I've seen people use it to chop down trees and shit. So, but yeah, I wouldn't trust this either one of these guys, whether it be the 154CM or whether it be the 14C28 versus that DC53, because I think either one of these is going to fail eventually, so it'll be. So, but yeah, they're not bad knives for what they are. They're just not. They're way overpriced at their original price point is what it is, because each one of them should be about half of what they cost normally is what it is there. So, which would be obviously 70 and 35. So it should be, the bigger of the two should be 35. The smaller of the two should be about 18 to 20, give or take. So, and that's exactly what I paid for them. But anyway, but yeah, definitely if I find some effing glows or something like that on sale here one of these days soon for a 50% off thing, I'll definitely pick those up down the road. But as it is right now, they're still, 60 to 70 bucks a piece, and there's no way I'm paying that for them, just because, like I said, I refuse to pay that kind of money for any of these knives. To me, even paying $35 or $40 for some of these knives is still kind of outrageous, when again they should be like 25 and under, honestly. Especially given the fact they're made in China and not made here in America. Like, that's the thing. I could see if this was like, I could honestly, truthfully see if something like this Sitivien was made in America and it was like 60 bucks, right? But not when it's made in China and it's $70. Like, that's just fucking insane. Again, just to point out, I paid half of that for it when it was on sale a couple months ago. So, because again, I would not pay full price for that at all, ever. Even paying half price, it still feels kind of overpriced. But yeah, I definitely do. I do like the Flissa. The only thing I dislike about the Flissa is the way this is all molded into one piece here, because I feel like this is definitely going to be a snapping point at some point there. So if I was going to carry this for real, what I would actually do is I would put some paracord through here, and here, right above where the space is for the rope cut there. And I would basically, what I'd probably actually do is I would most likely put a piece of paracord and do it either through the top and then down through this middle piece and then through the other piece, or the opposite way of that, where it would be starting here and then going up and around and then over and then down, because it would basically just be a tie off to the belt. That's what it would be. Like, you would never use this clip ever, because it's going to be a stress breaking point is what it is there. So what I would do is I would put paracord into this on the different hook pieces is what it is there, different holes, and basically just tie it to my belt is what it is then, or tie it to my belt loops for that matter, and carry it that way is what it would be then. So, or possibly even just get a different just say forget this piece at all right here, and then just take this whole thing and put it into a different sheath entirely is what it is. Since I know that Amazon does sell sheaths for around the size of this knife, and I think they're around like 10 or 12 bucks a piece or something. That's what it is. So, it'd be worth it to have a different sheath on this, just so it didn't have, the snapping ability. You could just put a belt loop through it or something. That's what it is then. So, but yeah, overall, I think this knife is very good. Feels very good in the hand. Very light in the hand for sure. Like, you can basically tell, like, all the weight of this entire blade is all back here in this piece of the handle, basically. Because just holding it with two fingers, like, you can just feel the weight, like, down at the bottom, basically, is what it is there. Compared to the Sitivien, which is definitely much, much heavier overall. Yeah, this thing is... I'm trying to figure out if I have a weight on these, actually. No, I'm thinking about it on their descriptions. Because this might say how weight-wise it is. Let's see. Okay, does not say anything about the weight. Just says kukri, rust-resistant finish, full tang strength. Okay, this is claiming it's a G10 handle, but I swear this is micarta. So, because it feels more micarta than G10. Portable nylon sheath. Let's see more product details. Okay, does it have anything else on here? Yeah, here it's saying fiberglass nylon is what it's claiming this handle material is. Yeah, so the blade length on this is 4.7 inches, so it's almost 5-inch knife. And then the overall length is 9.5 inches. So, yeah, I'm not seeing a weight on this thing. Yeah, I can't see any weight-wise on this. All right, let's check the Sitivien before we leave, and we'll go from there as it is. Okay, so this one, which feels about 4 times the weight, honestly. This bad boy is 5.9-inch blade. So almost about 1.2 inches longer than the other one. And then the handle is 5.5 inches for an overall 11.4-inch blade. It's got a G10 handle on it. Kydex sheath. Let's see, does it say weight on here? Actually, now I think about it, don't I have a digital scale here someplace? Maybe I'll do that as the weight on there and see if it'll show me the weights of these. Maybe I'll start doing that in the future, actually. Yeah, because this definitely feels heavy for sure. Yeah, I can't see any kind of weight specs on this. Yeah, I'm not seeing any weight specs on this. Okay. Oh, never mind then. Yeah, when I bought this, it was on April 11th, so it was a little over a month and a half ago. But yeah, it was definitely half price then. It was not $70 like it is now. So, or it was on like a special for that time or whatever. But like I said, it's not a bad knife. It just, you can tell it definitely needs like a little bit more edge on it to do like basic tasks like paper cutting and stuff like that. Whereas it can cut through cardboard pretty good. It just takes a little bit of heft to put through as what it is there, which it really, like, truthfully, if it was as sharp as it needs to be, like, it should just be going like right through anything. And the fact that it's not, it has to have a little bit of pressure put behind it is like a drawback, especially compared to the half price Flissa that is actually doing its job and able to go there as what it is. So anyway, that's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I might be back tomorrow for a Slicey Boy Sunday, or it might be next Saturday we do something. Just depends. Because I think it's supposed to be it's either next Saturday or next Sunday. My family's coming in for a get-together, so I will be down at my aunt's place again, most likely then. And actually, hopefully, do some fishing for the first time this summer is what it is then. But if we don't do, if I can find some of their blades I have just sitting around, I might just do another thing. Or I might do the Battle DC-53 stuff is what it is there. I just need to find those knives is what it is right now, which I think they're sitting on the bookshelf over there, but I could be wrong. Because I have at least two I want to do a review on, but there might be a third one too for that matter. And then I'm going to do another review at some point in the future of, it's a FFCC that I picked up here in the last month or so. That is a VG10 fixed blade, which is the first VG10 fixed blade I've ever had, actually. So, because we have a lot of 14C 28Ns, we have a lot of DC-53 fixed blades, we have a lot of D2 fixed blades, we have a handful of the 154 CMs now is what it is, et cetera, et cetera. We don't really have a whole lot of VG10 or anything else like that, what it is. So, and of course we have a lot of like the 8CR 14 or something like that kind of ones, and 7 CRs and all kinds of other stuff like that is what it is. Mostly because we didn't know anything about knives back then. We got a bunch of real shit is what it is, honestly. I probably blew at least a couple $100 on just like crappy knives is what it is, which I eventually will probably just sell off at some point. If I ever do get down to like a flea market, I'll probably just go down there and sell them for like what I paid for them, maybe a couple of dollars less, just to get rid of them. So if I paid like 10, I might just sell them for like 5 to 8 or something like that. That's what it is then. So, but yeah, it's not too bad. The one thing I will call out though, there's a company on Amazon that I bought a couple knives from before this. That was that it was VCOR is what they're called. It's like VECOR, I think is how it's spelled. Their knife, their folding knife on there, was under $12 in the past few months and is now almost $18. I don't know if that's because of the economy and the price of everything going up, or if that's just them being scumbaggy and just rip people off now is what it is, because that was a good $12 to $13 knife, honestly. Under $15 knife is what I would call it, honestly. It is not an $18 to $20 knife at all. Because like I said, this right here, that's like $33 right now, is like a $20, maybe $25 max knife by comparison. So that does fold pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. I do like me a button lock design, mostly because I can just be like, knife fight, bitch. So, which is also the exact reason to have a fixed blade too, for that matter, because you can just pull out the fixed blade and just be like, ha. Or if you're a crazy motherfucker like Randy Savage was back in the day, you just grab a knife and it turns to be a butter knife, like a Waffle House or something. That's where that dude was at when he had that knife fight with that guy at the time. That was some funny shit, by the way. If you've never heard that story, I think it was in the like the biography of Randy Savage or something like that. They were talking about that, and it was them talking about him pulling a knife on some dude, or no, sorry, it was some guy pulling a knife on him back in the 70s, and I think it was Waffle House Diner or something like that. And then Randy just like scrambled and grabbed a knife off the table and turned out it was a fucking butter knife. So it's like, yeah, probably not the best thing to do, bro. But yeah, that dude was a coke fueled maniac for sure, in a good way, obviously. Not like we see nowadays where it's all people on various drugs they think is cocaine and it's actually like fentanyl or something like that, and they just overdose what it is there. But yeah, unfortunately for Randy Savage, he it was the coke and everything else, the steroids and all stuff like that took him out eventually, I believe. Same thing with Eddie Guerrero, for that matter. You had Guerrero, who had gotten sober like a year or so before his death, and yeah, it was all the drugs basically catching up with him that were on his spinal cord still is what it was, to where he's just brushing his teeth one day and then talking to his cousin Chavo, and all of a sudden just hit the floor in the bathroom there of their hotel room. So just a terrible, terrible tragedy in general there. Unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that happens. That's what it is. So anyway, yeah, like I said, going back before we finish off today, going back to this IOKO knife, you would think at some point on here, I don't know if it would be the scale or this scale or that scale or that scale, or just literally any part of this blade on either side should have a D2 thing on it, because it does have a nice little choil there is what it is. I don't really put my finger too much on the choil what it is there, but yeah, it definitely feels pretty decent in the hand. There's what it is. It would probably feel better without the clip on there, actually. But yeah, just a nice little. I could actually see using this as like a steak knife or something like that, if that be the case, or like cutting up some chicken or something, if that be the case in the future. Like just take that with me to the woods or whatever. Do like some bushcraft stuff or whatever, and then just make some like meat over the fire and just start slicing stuff up with it or whatever the case be there. So, but yeah, very nice knife in general. One thing I will say about any of these knives, and specifically about that, what do you call those now? The Mora knives. Do not use those to slice through greasy pizza. Like if you're slicing a piece of pizza or whatever into like smaller chunks or whatever to eat, don't use that kind of knife on that. I made that mistake one time, and it literally rusted the blade on that knife. Like not like rusted, but it created like rust stain on it, basically is what it is there. Like it was really messed up. So yeah, I would say if you're ever going to use like something like this to like cut through some stuff or like cut like some cheesy bread or something, that's what it is there. Like make sure to take a paper towel and just like wipe that shit off as quick as possible. Then that's what it is. Because otherwise it's definitely going to get some rust on is what it would be then. But anyway. But yeah, this knife is really, yeah, see like right there, I'm trying to like push the push button down. It's not working as well as it should, because it really does need to have it be like when it's deployed like that, how it like pops up a little bit. That should be like that always, and then you just push it down, because it would be much better overall as a button lock then. And there's a couple on the market that are like that, like the button locks I have in the case down there on the floor. They have that ability where it's a little bit better like that. There's what it is. And they're about the $20 range or so, give or take. Versus this one, it's like $30+ now is what it is, not on sale. Which is just crazy to me. Because it's definitely not worth that. Like I said, I think at best, this thing could basically suffice as like a $25 knife any given day of the week. But even that's kind of, like I would compare that to like fixed blades at that point, honestly, at that same price point then. So I would say that $20 price point, this would be pretty good, but not like 33 like it is right now. So, anyway. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this 40-minute spiel. And I'll be back, like I said, either tomorrow or next Saturday. I'm not sure which yet. It just depends on what I want to do and how I want to do it, basically, and how I'm feeling. Well, it also depends on how I'm feeling tomorrow, too, as well, because I got some stuff to do later on in the afternoon. But if I can get up at like 10:30, 11, 11:30, something like that, and do one of these, I might do one then, if that be the case, as long as I can find the stuff to do comparison things or whatever. I might do the DC-53 battle of the folders, and if that be the case then. And if I can't find the stuff I need to find, then I'll just simply find something else and do something on it as what it is then, if I even feel like doing one at all for that matter. So, but look forward to future episodes where we discuss both folding knives and fixed blades of various steel qualities, etc., etc. There's what it is. So, till later. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying. Always make sure to have at least 2 knives in you at all times, because 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And it's that simple. Literally. Later, y'all. Peace out.